Hey guys, so Sidekick is a new card coming in the Age of Apocalypse expansion that has just been previewed, and this card looks amazing. It's maybe the best deck building, most interesting card in the whole, expansion. And I'm excited to talk about it. We're going to be going through different characters it's good with and why, what to look out for, how to maybe use this. And there's a secret loophole to really unlock this card with some, crazy shenanigans. So I'm excited to talk about that. And I'm VillainTheory, and let's get into it. So Sidekick is a one-cost upgrade attached to an identity-specific ally, also known as your signature ally, max 1 per deck. So you really want to find your signature ally and then find Sidekick. Ideally both of them turn 1, but definitely at least, your signature ally first. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait your whole deck cycle for Sidekick to come around again, which, it could be on the bottom of your deck next time, all these tricky things, or you have to keep it in hand and hope your signature ally isn't on the bottom of your deck. So the timing issues here are the trickiest part. There's going to be some inconsistency, if it lines up perfectly, you're going to have a really good time. If it doesn't, it's going to be a bit slow to get off the ground. So characters that have ways to mitigate that risk are really going to like this more than characters that don't, but it's still very interesting. And the attached ally gets +2 hit points, just like Reinforced Suit, but now becomes your sidekick. So now your signature ally has Reinforced Suit, but is also your sidekick, which in terms of theme, this is incredible. This is like a 10 out of 10. Superhero genre, sidekicks, I'm here for it. Love the art, love everything about that. Then you've got the response here. And this is what kind of starts to set this card apart. After you make a basic recovery, heal 2 damage from the attached ally. And basic recovery is a stat that has kind of been, I'm going to say, neglected. I think downtime interacts with it, recuperation, symbiote suit, and that's about it. If you compare it to, defense, attack, forwarding, recovery is just kind of abandoned. There's a couple of maybe encounter cards that benefit from, you using it, but they're very, very few and far between. So this card giving you more inclination, more reason to use your recovery, I think is really cool in terms of variety, but it's also really cool in terms of what it does. Some signature allies are very strong. This is going to help you keep them alive without, trying to run first aid or, use different tricks and things. It's just going to be a straightforward thing you always have access to, as long as you can go alter ego and recover, which is another puzzle. It's obviously easier in multiplayer because of the threat threshold and so on and so forth. But this is really strong. I think this is excellent. I think adding on 2 healing onto a signature ally in particular, but allies in general, ally healing is generally worth more because generally every point of health on an ally is another potential activation. So this is going to make your recovery stat really, really useful. So characters that like to recover are going to like Sidekick a lot as well. And characters that don't are now maybe going to care about using it. So this is all really cool. So you can make your signature ally, beefier and keep them around basically the whole game. Now it has this companion event side by side. Ready your sidekick, ready your hero, and choose one. Heal 1 damage from both characters, or both characters get +1 to their fort and attack until the end of the phase. A lot of allies have really high output, a lot of heroes have really high attack. If you have a high output signature ally and a high, attack or forwarding hero, by readying up both and then maybe healing them as well, you're going to get some really good output. But if you can get the, +1 forwarding or attack, and then have some other readies on the go, maybe in your deck, on your character, something about that, you can use that stat boost multiple times because it lasts until the end of the phase. So you have some really cool combos, and there's a lot we can talk about here. So I think we should get into it. So we've got X23 here, upcoming hero, about to be released, and she is perhaps the hero most closely entwined with her signature ally we've ever seen. A lot of her cards kind of revolve around Honey Badger or get a boost if Honey Badger is in play. So how does this benefit us with Sidekick? Well, X23 has a huge recovery stat of 6, and she takes damage from some of her different mechanics. Like she has these claws that give her a +2 attack and take damage and things like that. So she's going to take damage and want to recover anyway a lot of the time. Certain aspects and builds will do that more than others, I'm sure. But nonetheless, good recovery stat means Sidekick is going to, really fit into that game plan already. Keeping Honey Badger alive is really going to fit into that game plan, and more hit points on Honey Badger in the first place is going to be extremely good. X23 can get large attack bonuses, and Honey Badger can ready X23 up to use those stat bonuses again. Her hero ability on X23 can ready her up as well. So now Sidekick readying them both up. If you ready up X23 and Honey Badger, you're really getting 2 readies on X23 because you're getting that extra one from Honey Badger. And you can do this in different ways. You can take the healing to keep Honey Badger alive across a couple more turns, kind of stretch things out. Or you can go all in with a turn with many readies kind of lined up, get those stat bonuses, and just, absolutely annihilate the villain or, all the minions, whatever you need to do. So this is an extremely strong combo. More than that, Honey Badger can be found from X23 support card, which I think you can use in Alter Ego or hero form. So you can get Honey Badger very easily, more easily than a hero without it, we'll put it that way. So this is going to be a phenomenal combo. Then I want to talk about Phoenix, who in some ways is very similar to the X23 and Honey Badger kind of thing going on here. Like X23, Phoenix can have a really good attack stat when she's unleashed. She also has a really good fording stat to start off with, though. So in multiplayer, being able to ready up and use that free fording is going to be really useful. It is pretty funny to put Sidekick on Cyclops. I think making your, romantic partner your Sidekick is quite disrespectful in some ways. I don't know. I'm pretty sure, Cyclops, the leader of the X-Men, being made a sidekick. It's pretty funny to me. Um, like how X23 can use her support to find Honey Badger, Phoenix can use Cerebro to find Cyclops. She's also got a really good recovery. She only heals for free, but she gains a power counter, which she can then spend in hero form as a resource, which is really cool. And putting Sidekick on Cyclops and then getting him healed and keeping him in play, what that really means is that he's probably not leaving play for the rest of the game, except in an emergency. When he leaves play, you lose 2 power counters, which is kind of 2 resources. Now, clever timing, playing around that, you can just make sure Cyclops only leaves play when you have 0 power counters, but it's kind of convenient to have a way that means he's not going to leave play. You're not going to have to worry about that and keep getting all these bonuses. So I think this is a really good pairing. And of course, throw game time around, with an attack training, danger room training upgrade. The X-Men upgrades go really well on these kind of characters, which will also go for Honey Badger, I should add, as she's actually an X-Men ally on an X-Force hero, which is interesting. Then we have Vision, who, a bit like the previous characters, has a way to find Vivian. Hickory Branch Lane is a very famous card, which kind of turns Vision into a kind of a platform for Vivian in some regards. It's very powerful to just keep finding her every time you go Alter Ego, flip down every single turn. However, that ability to find Vivian is going to make Sidekick, quite convenient to find at the right time. And Vivian has such good stats already, +2 fording, +2 attack, free fort, free attack. Readying her or healing her even is just going to be very valuable. But you can even stack the stat boost here with things like Reboot or Earth's Mightiest Heroes, for Vision specifically, to get extra readies on these characters. So you're going to be able to do things with both of the options on side by side here, however you please. And I think that's going to be pretty fun. So I know Boom Guy, who watches a lot of my videos, and I've been on his podcast. Please check that out. It's the Winning Hand. He's going to like this. This is his favorite character, and I'm excited to try this. Next up, we have Nova, and Nova is a really fun character, one of my personal favorites, and he's very different to a lot of the characters we've been talking about. He has 1 fording, 1 attack. His ally has 1 fording, 1 attack. Why would you ever want to ready them? Well, Miss Marvel can bounce a card back to your hand, so every activation is kind of worth 1 resource. And Nova, when you exhaust him, when he uses basic powers, that readies up his helmet, which generates a resource. So by using side by side, you're not just getting, 1 fort or 1 attack or whatever from Nova. You're getting the resource from the helmet and another card bounced back from Miss Marvel. And there are some combos here. So I don't know if you guys can see the pieces falling into place here, but you can, if you keep readying Miss Marvel with side by side, keep bouncing side by side back to your hand. And of course, it's going to, take a certain amount of resources to keep playing it, because effectively, if she's bouncing it back to your hand, you're kind of refunded 1, and Nova's helmet is kind of paying for 1. So you're going to need kind of a net, total of 1 resource to spend every time you want to replay side by side, but also Miss Marvel's health. So you can just go for the heal 1 damage each time and kind of do this until you run out of resources. Or you can go for the stat boost and start to stack up some big stat boosts, but Miss Marvel is, going to run out of hit points. Sidekick does mean she'll have more hit points. However, what we can do with Nova is play Go for Champions. So Miss Marvel now cannot take any damage. So you can just go for the +1 fort, +1 attack until end of the phase and just keep readying both of these characters as much as you like until you're out of money. And if you have kind of Unleash Nova Force in turn, maybe you're in multiplayer, there's a lot of stuff on the board, this is going to go crazy. This is going to be a very fun, very powerful combo. Now, whether it's going to be, optimal, I honestly doubt it for any character just because of the inconsistency of finding it at the right time. But if you can set this up, this is going to be hilarious, and I can't wait to do this. And while we're talking about Nova, Nova has a couple of game-breaking combos, infinite damage kind of stuff we're talking about here. He's technically got 2 of them, and one of them is already available right now. One of them needs a future card. So if you guys want me to talk about that, let me know in the comments. I might do a video on that. And yeah, Nova's going to be really good with side by side and Sidekick. So I'm really excited for him to have kind of something more unique going on in leadership, because he's a rich character. He is good in leadership, but I don't necessarily know that he's interesting in leadership. But I think that changes things here. Then we have Angel, very powerful new character, and I've kind of got both his normal form and his Archangel form, at least the stats from it here on the screen for reference. So this is going to be really good for Angel as well. Now, Angel doesn't particularly want to play Psylocke too much because it's not good the aerial trait and his events do so much. So sometimes it's hard to find the kind of resources for Psylocke, or at least, you have different priorities. And again, Sidekick and Side by Side are not aerial either. So how much he will really want to run this, I don't know. But there are some fun combos here I thought I'd talk about. So Angel and Archangel, can benefit from Psylocke. Psylocke actually readies up Archangel. So if you're in Archangel form, you can attack, have Psylocke ready you up, then attack again. So with Side by Side, a bit like Honey Badger, you're going to get two readies from Side by Side, but really because Psylocke can ready you up, you're getting an extra ready on your character. So getting any kind of stat boost, he's a former changing character, so cards like Moxie, which boost your attack or forwarding for the phase, I think it is, actually might have a lot of potential here, or lead from the front. This could go with any of these heroes, really. Gives your hero and all your allies +1 to their stats for the round. So I thought this was fun. Then we've got Quicksilver, who will really like this. Now, he already has a lot of upgrades to afford, which is pretty tricky, but if you can, maybe with a bit of help from Cable in multiplayer or something, Sidekick and Side by Side on Scarlet Witch are going to do a lot for you. Now, something that's interesting here is that Scarlet Witch enables the team up card, Order and Chaos, so keeping Scarlet Witch around is going to be good for that. His Alter Ego ability gets more powerful. Basically, you gain net 1 card draw. Scarlet Witch is in play. So again, Side by Side, keeping her around, just really good. But readying up on Quicksilver is amazing. Obviously, he can get good stats. He's got maximum velocity combos and things like that. Getting an extra stat boost from Side by Side is really good. But readying up on Quicksilver also means friction resistance readies up, a bit like Nova's helmet. So you're getting kind of a refund as well on Side by Side, as well as getting readied up, hopefully with, a stat boost already, something like that. So I think this is going to be a really fun combo here. Next up, we have Star-Lord, who, of course, I was going to talk about Star-Lord. You guys should really know this by now about me. But Star-Lord has some really fun combos here. So Nova Prime is extraordinarily expensive, but once he's in play, he's got pretty good stats here. 3 attack, 2 forwarding. So keeping him around is probably more valuable than having to replay him again in the future, depending on what minions around and things like that. But generally, being able to ready Star-Lord and Nova Prime in leadership is super valuable because Blaze of Glory exists. Blaze of Glory is basically Star-Lord's, extra signature card. It is so good, so powerful, and it gives all your characters +2 attack and +2 forwarding. The downside is they might take damage at the end of the turn if you don't first go Alter Ego, because if they're a Guardian, they take damage, and they're only a Guardian while you're in hero form, so on and so forth. But really what this means is, if you get the stat boost from Blaze of Glory, then ready up for Side by Side, both your characters are getting another +2 attack again. So Star-Lord with Blaze of Glory could attack for 4, Nova Prime with Blaze of Glory could attack for 5, Side by Side will ready them up, and then you've got 9 damage, it's 4 again from Star-Lord, 5 again from Nova Prime, which is honestly really good. And there's going to be more combos you can do here because you can have, Blaze of Glory, Daring Escape, CITT. There are other ways to ready up and benefit from this, so Side by Side really just fits into that plan of, burst damage through Blaze of Glory, which Star-Lord really enjoys. I've got a little bit more to talk about Star-Lord about with Sidekick, but that'll come later. So next up, we've got Spider-Woman, who I think a lot of you guys were expecting to see here. Captain Marvel is one of the best signature allies in the game, no questions asked. Draw a card, just for using a basic power is phenomenal. That response really just elevates this, signature ally enormously. So of course, we're going to want to put Sidekick on Captain Marvel. And Captain Marvel is a really powerful hero, I think. So making Captain Marvel a sidekick, pretty insulting. I think that's kind of funny. I think that's kind of rude. But I like it. And Spider-Woman can get really high stats. So readying with Side by Side, really good for her. Lots of card draw from Captain Marvel. If you get a different aspect card, you can play that, get even bigger stats on Spider-Woman. Other readies become even more valuable. It just really works together. There's going to be shenanigans with different aspect combos with this. More readies, more things to do around it. Just going to be a very, very powerful tool in Spider-Woman's arsenal. Now, she doesn't normally want to use her recovery, but certainly to keep Captain Marvel alive, maybe she will. So this isn't a deep dive into every possible hero with Sidekick and how that will work. The card isn't out yet. We don't know if there'll be more cards that work with it. I've not tested it, so this is going to be the last hero I talk about here, Spider-Woman. But I do want to talk to you guys about that loophole I mentioned. So some of you guys might have picked up on this. Maybe it's been reported on elsewhere. I'm sure people have noticed it, but I've been, a little bit isolated, making a lot of content. So this is something I realized recently when I started to think about Sidekick and making a video about it. So Sidekick says attached to an identity-specific ally. Emphasis on the an, not your identity specific ally, not your signature ally, an identity specific ally. You have to control it, but it can be anyone's signature ally. How do you get someone else's signature ally? Make the call. So you can, let's say, be playing Star-Lord here. You can use make the call to get, I don't know, Nova's signature ally, Miss Marvel. You can make Miss Marvel your sidekick, which taking someone else's signature ally and making them your sidekick is so rude on like a table kind of gameplay level. I mean, I kind of love it, but it's also got some really strong potential here because some signature allies for some characters are really strong or open up new combos. You know, Miss Marvel can bounce daring escape back for Star-Lord, a sliding shot, with sidekick and then, side by side, you can ready up Miss Marvel. You could potentially, a Star-Lord, you do something like, get a couple of encounter cards in front of you, use sliding shot, exhaust Miss Marvel to bounce sliding shot back to your hand. Um, then you could use side by side to ready up Miss Marvel and Star-Lord, sliding shot again, exhaust Miss Marvel again, bounce sliding shot back, and you've turned one sliding shot into three. Now you'd have to be able to afford that. Star-Lord does have some ways to do that. That's kind of a different topic, a different deck. But nonetheless, you can do that, and that's really cool. And aside from just, different allies being good with different heroes, this means that if you're in multiplayer with Make the Call and Sidekick, if you haven't found your signature ally in time, but someone else has and it's in their discard pile, you're going to eliminate those timing issues by grabbing their signature ally and then putting Sidekick straight on it. You're not going to have to, go around your deck again looking for your own one. So this is going to be really cool to explore. I've not fully explored this. The expansion doesn't come out for, 4 or 5 months, I think. So I haven't gone really deep into all the possibilities here because I've got to leave something for the future. But hopefully this really interests you guys in Sidekick if you weren't already. And if you are, hopefully you're even more excited. Hopefully this has been interesting. Thank you so much. Subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.